I hope you were able to heat you guys up and you guys had a great time tonight.
The first night of BTS's American concerts hadn't even begun, but one name was already dominating the air: Jungkook. All eyes were on him, even before the first song was played. There was something different that night, something that made the thousands of people feel like they were witnessing history, not just a concert. And when he finally appeared, clad in black leather that reflected the stage lights, the stadium seemed to stop breathing for a second before erupting in hysteria. That day, May 16, 2026, Stanford Stadium was playing host to the opening night of the Arirang World Tour for the third consecutive night. But from the first second, it was clear that this was no ordinary night. The energy in the air was thicker, hotter, wilder. It was as if everyone knew this night would leave a lasting impression. Jungkook strode with calm confidence, his charisma radiating effortlessly. Beside him, Jimin was an equally powerful presence, creating a combination that was nearly impossible to ignore. The two were like magnets drawing everyone's attention, keeping cameras, eyes, and even the audience's hearts glued to their every move. But the moment that truly stole the show happened even before the concert began. During soundcheck, a low-flying drone approached, capturing the atmosphere of the stadium as it began to fill. In an instant, Jungkook leaped lightly and caught it with one hand. The spontaneous action immediately sparked cheers. Wild, unexpected, and completely Jungkook. Jimin, who witnessed the scene, was not to be outdone. With a mischievous smile, he began teasing Jungkook, creating a challenge that was half serious, half joking. There was a moment when he almost took off his top, making the audience scream even louder than before. But Jungkook just laughed, stepped back slightly, pretending to dodge, a small game that felt so alive, so human amid the grand scale of the concert. Their interaction felt like a small slice of authentic friendship, uncontrived, unpolished. And that was precisely what made it so captivating. The audience saw not just two superstars, but two best friends enjoying every second on stage. When the concert officially began, that energy transformed into something much bigger. The music pounded, the lights danced, and thousands of light sticks sparkled like a living galaxy. Jungkook moved with stunning precision, his every step in sync with the beat, his every expression seeming to speak directly to the audience. Jimin, on the other hand, presented a subtle yet equally powerful contrast. His movements were fluid, his emotions palpable, and every glance in his eyes seemed to tell a story. Together, they created a dynamic that made the stage feel full, no empty space, no moment felt ordinary. Midway through the performance, there was a small moment that could easily have been missed if not carefully observed. Jungkook paused, looking out at the audience in the front row. He appeared to have a brief conversation with a staff member, then returned with a softer expression. It turned out he was making sure a fan wasn't feeling too cold. It was a small gesture, but enough to melt thousands of hearts. And that's Jungkook. Not just an extraordinary performer, but also someone who pays attention to the little things. Things that might not be visible on the big screen, but feel so real to those experiencing them firsthand. Meanwhile, Taehyung was equally captivating in his own way. From a corner of the stage, he waved, gave a wink that was caught on camera, and elicited a reaction from the audience that quickly turned into a wave of screams. Their energy blended with the atmosphere, adding another layer to the already overflowing excitement. Each member brought their own unique color, but that night, there was something about Jungkook and Jimin that stood out even more. Maybe it was their chemistry, maybe it was the spontaneous moments, or maybe it was just how completely immersed they were in the atmosphere. Time seemed to pass faster than usual. Song after song passed, but the energy never dropped. In fact, as the night wore on, the atmosphere only grew hotter. The audience sang along, jumped, cried, laughed, a roller coaster of emotions that never lost its momentum. There was a moment where Jungkook looked out over the sea of spectators, his eyes glistening slightly. He smiled, not a stage smile, but a genuine one. It was as if he realized how much love surrounded him that night. Jimin stood nearby, gazing in the same direction. Without words, the two shared a silent moment that felt more powerful than any screams. A small pause amidst the din, which only made everything feel more real. When the final song of the night played, the atmosphere shifted to a mixture of happiness and reluctance to end. No one wanted the night to end. Not the audience, not even those on stage. But like all good things, that first night had to end. The lights slowly dimmed, the music stopped, and one by one the members left the stage. But the energy they left behind lingered in the air, like an echo that refused to fade. Outside the stadium, the audience was still talking excitedly, replaying the moment, laughing, even crying. Everyone knew they had just experienced something special, something that couldn't be fully described in words. And this was just the first night. There were still 2 more nights scheduled for May 17th and 19th. If opening night was this intense, it was hard to imagine what would follow. Expectations were sky high, but one thing was for sure. BTS never did anything half-heartedly. That night, Jungkook and Jimin didn't just perform. They created memories. They brought to life moments that everyone in the audience would talk about, rewatch, and relive. And while all eyes were on Jungkook at the start of the night, no one knew they would leave with more than just admiration. They left with stories they would cherish forever.